Assalamu alaikum everybody. Welcome to today's episode of The Seeker. Today we will be discussing the impact of social media on our lives. Pretty much everyone has a social media account these days. From Twitter to TikTok, more and more people are sharing their thoughts and some version of themselves with potentially limitless people from all over the world. We at Seekers Institute assist individuals and families in constructing a written plan to achieve the many things they want in their lives. Included in that is being true to who you are and who you really deserve to be. With that in mind, my guest today will share with us his personal challenges, his motivating factors to engage in social media, and the successes and failures that come with being an influencer. He will share with us how all of us can integrate humility while growing our followers and connections. The question is, can we really remain true to who we are in a time where our worth might be linked to likes? We'll talk about this and so much more, so let's meet our guest. Welcome back to The Seeker. I am your host, Arshad Anwar, and I am joined with a good friend and colleague now for many years, Sheikh Hassan Faye. Hassan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, man. We definitely wanted to have you for this conversation that we're going to have today. But I want you to go ahead and introduce people to the kind of things that you do. Now, we know you in Atlanta as the Quran teacher, the youth mentor, but tell us a little bit more about what you do.
All right. Well, first and foremost, I'm very glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. What I do mostly is, I guess, being a Quran teacher. Yeah. That is my pride and joy. I absolutely love it, and I wouldn't change for anything. After that, I am a youth mentor at different capacities. I work with a few institutes. I work with ECIC, which is the East Cobb Islamic Center. I also work with Masjid Furqan, and I help them build their youth presence because obviously we live in a time where the youth are kind of going far away from the masajids. So to have someone who kind of understands them come back and try to reel them in is why I do what I do when it comes to the youth part. And with everything else, once I joined social media, once I joined Instagram, things kind of snowballed from there, where I started working with an organization called Muslims of the World. Yeah. And it's been a heck of a ride, absolutely loving it. And what I do mostly with them is, I guess, on the charity side. We do events to try to raise money for people that are less fortunate around the world. We do events in Kenya, Ethiopia, and other places of the world. Yeah. A very important event that we actually did that is not on the side of charity, but it was an event for us to help our own followers involve themselves in helping people get closer to Islam, because we're there on the ground, right? Yeah. But the people that are watching also want to do things to help, right? Because the Prophet ﷺ says, "Ad-dalu ala al-khayri ka-fa'ilihi." The one who points towards good also gets the reward for it. So we had this awesome event in New York in Times Square where we were passing out copies of the clear Quran. Yeah. We had around 10,000 copies, and our followers could donate. They can purchase a copy, and that copy that we give to an individual will then go back in their book of deeds. And you never know where it could end up. Yeah. You might come on the Day of Judgment and someone became Muslim, took the Shahada, and it was because of your copy that you decided to give them. So
there was a viral clip from that, and I remember seeing it, of the woman. You can tell us a little bit more about this. The woman that stepped in while you guys were doing this, and she was crying. What was that?
Oh man, that was amazing. That was amazing. So what happened was, this was around that second day or third day in Times Square. We're passing out the Qurans, and this lady comes, and she was actually homeless. She would walk around Times Square, try to get some food, try to get some money from some people, and she came to us when she saw us passing out these Qurans, and she came to us and she said, she just started crying out of nowhere, and we're all looking around like, what's going on? And once she got composed, she decided to let us into the reason why she was crying. And the reason why she was crying, because she said the Quran actually saved her life.
Wow.
The Quran, yeah, she said that a friend of hers gave her a copy, and one time she was going through something really difficult, and a friend was able to console her through the Quran. So she was so happy that we were there, and she was not Muslim.
Wow.
She did not take her shahada, but that goes to show you it is universal. It's for everyone, right?
Absolutely.
The Quran is for everyone, right? When the Prophet ﷺ was sent, he was sent as rahmatan lil alameen.
Yeah.
He was sent as mercy to the world, to everyone, not just to specifically Muslims. And this is a very important point to kind of go in on, because a lot of times we see Muslims, our own selves, only focus on Muslims. And that's the wrong mentality to have.
Yeah.
The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not only focus on Muslims. He was going and focusing on human beings and animals, right? Rahmatan lil alameen, nature, everyone. And this is how we're supposed to be, right? With nature, with animals, with human beings, right? There's this concept in that people think somehow we hate animals or something. Yeah. We don't like dogs
because we don't eat pigs.
These things just because we don't eat of the pigs. So now we just hate animals. Okay. But that's not right. Absolutely wrong. So yeah, it was a very beautiful event. So that is my third job, so to speak, with the Muslims of the world, and just being online in general.
Well, what was powerful about that clip was the fact that it was available for the world to see, right? And it was through your social media, the Instagram of Muslims of the world, that caught that moment, captured that moment, and allowed everybody to share in that experience that you guys were, because I could tell it caught you guys off guard as well.
Right. So those are the things you don't plan for.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, you go there and you have your camera with you because you want the world to see what we're doing, and so everyone can join in together and do it as a community. But you can't plan for something like that to happen. Right. The cameras are rolling because that's what we're doing there. Yeah. But for someone to come and be so authentic, be so genuine, and say something like that, that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
SubhanAllah. Now I know, and we've talked about this before, that when I started meeting you, and you didn't have an Instagram account.
No,
and I had created one, and I was like, how is it that someone like me has an Instagram account, but Hassan Faye doesn't have an Instagram account? And then it was so much later where you actually made one. And so what was your apprehension in even having a presence on social media?
Yeah, so when it comes to Instagram or online in general, there's good and then there's bad, just like with everything else. But for me, I felt that at that time, for me, the bad outweighed the good. And specifically for me, Hassan, I felt if I engaged in this, it would be more detrimental to me and my life and my Islam and my Iman than beneficial.
Okay.
So I had to dial back, stay back. At some point, I had Instagram back in 2014 for about a month and a half, and then I shut it because I saw.
Yeah.
I saw, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me the insight. And again, we're gonna talk about this because these are the things that need to be talked about. But a black man in Islam, in the Muslim community, I should say, is seen as someone who needs to be taught their deen by a non-black. Yeah. Whether it be Arab or Desi or whatever you want to have it, right? Yeah. So when they see a black man come, and I've had this experience in masajids. So you'll have, like, you know me, and I'll come and you say, oh, Hassan, can you lead the salah? You're the imam. But out of courtesy, you're asking me to lead the salah. You'll have maybe some people who are not, RCMers.
Are you sure?
They're looking around like, letting the guy lead the salah? This guy doesn't know, right? But it's solely because of the color of my skin, right? And these are the things that we need to dispel from amongst ourselves.
Absolutely.
So obviously, when you see a black man, a dark-skinned brother who, in your eyes, that's an African American, and he starts reciting Quran, and it's somewhat good. So you're like, oh, like what's going on? So it's a little enticing. Yeah. So yeah, I started to grow a little bit And back then, Instagram didn't have the whole sharing thing.
Yeah.
They had some app where you could download it and then reshare it on your page, but it was a whole lot of mess, right? But even with that, it was growing. But I saw how it made me feel.
How did it make you feel? What is it that it made you feel?
It made me feel, and I'm not scared to say this, but I started to feel good about myself. I started to...
You mean in a negative way?
In a negative way. Like, feeling like, oh, like, I'm it. Yeah. And I realized when that happened, my mind automatically went to shaitan. Iblis, the shaitan. My mind automatically went there. Why? When he was told to bow down to Adam, he said, I'm better than him. So he was feeling himself.
Yeah.
And I started feeling myself. And I said, I'm exhibiting the same quality that Iblis exhibited. Wow. And I said, no, I'm out. That's why I deleted it. And people are like, wasn't it difficult? Wasn't that hard for you to do that?
I mean, it's hard to make that kind of a presence and then remove yourself from it, because there's a lot of pressure that comes from your friends and your followers.
Right.
So, I mean, didn't you have that kind of pressure?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because, it was one of those things, you know, shaitan is very tricky. So you'll be doing good, but it affects you in a negative way.
Yeah.
And you decide to remove yourself from that good, and shaitan will come to you and say, but you were doing good. You were reciting Quran online. Yeah. What could be better than that? People were hearing the words of God. Yeah. Shaitan will come and tell you all of these things, right? I think it was Imam Al-Ghazali that decided to leave when he was at the height of his fame. Decided to leave and seclude himself for a decade. He didn't, and then when he came back is when he wrote the 𝐤𝐢𝐿𝐴, right? But that's because he went and prepared himself and he was ready now for that. And I felt, not to compare myself to Imam Al-Ghazali, rahimahullah, but these are examples for us to use in our lives. And knowledge without application is useless. Applied knowledge can really, really help you in life. So I decided to apply that knowledge of knowing that the shaitan did this, and knowing that Imam Al-Ghazali, rahimahullah, did the same thing, where he was famous.
Yeah.
And he felt, okay, this is affecting, I need to leave. So he left. So I decided, I'm going to leave. People were like, no, you should do it. I said, no, that's the trick of shaitan. And on the day of judgment, he's going to come and be like, don't blame me, blame yourself. So I can't blame him. So I need to step away for a little bit.
So what was the difference between Hassan then and Hassan now that's like, you know what, I'm ready to be back on social media?
Life experience. Dealing with a lot of youth, dealing with different communities. I had in the middle moved to Texas, experienced life there, worked there at a different capacity, came back to Atlanta, worked at a larger capacity. So all of that experience helped me and helped shape me. And you know, the thing is, even back then, those feelings that were there are still there. They haven't gone. Okay. And that's an important point. Yeah. They're just tamed. I have a better handle on them. They never completely go away.
Can you say that one more time, just so our audience really understands what you just said?
Yes, the feelings that I had back then, the reason why I left Instagram.
Yeah, it's not like you're back because all that
stuff
is
conquered.
Gone.
Oh yeah, it's all gone. No, those things don't go away. Islam is about discipline. Yeah. Why do we have 5 daily prayers? We stop everything and pray. It's about discipline. Why do we fast in Ramadan? Right? Why do we do these things? It's to discipline ourselves. And not to just go with whatever we want, whatever our desires say. There's this interesting saying nowadays, live your best life or live your truth, whatever the saying is. And I don't agree with that saying. And I've explained why. Because living your best life usually means doing whatever your heart desires. And that's not what we do in Islam. We don't just do what our heart desires. We do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do. If it goes with what our heart wants, alhamdulillah. If it doesn't, we say, sami'na wa ata'na, I hear and I obey. So, those feelings did not go away. No. But they were more tamed. I had a better handle on them. More training, more exercise, right? The more you go to the gym, the more It becomes easier. It doesn't mean that when you're lifting, it's like, oh, this is nothing. No, you just have a better handle on it and you can do more reps, so to speak. So I felt at my age, I was able to deal with the pitfalls and go forward with them and, have a better handle on it at the age of 30 versus 24.
And I love what you said about, those feelings don't go away. You tame them.
You tame them.
And I think a lot of the things that we deal with in life, we have to really understand that the feelings, the anxieties, stresses, whatever negative things we have in our life, we're not, expected that they're just going to disappear.
Exactly.
But taming them is an important thing. So, with all the things you've mentioned here, being on social media and being exposed to now thousands of people, what are some of the, or what is a negative experience that someone has brought to your attention?
Let's go pre-social media and then we'll go post-social media, because I don't want people to misunderstand that it's because I have a wider audience that these are coming to me. They're in our own communities.
Yeah.
So before I joined Instagram, I was still doing what I was doing at a smaller scale, i.e. the youth director, youth mentor. Young girls and boys come to me and talk to me about their issues, ask for advice. So I had an individual come to me once and express her discomfort in how things were happening in her home, how she was being treated, and it was driving her away from Islam, like completely away from Islam, to the point where she was using some things that she shouldn't be using, i.e. drugs, substance abuse, and she was fine with it.
She was fine with it.
She was fine with it. And the reason why she was fine with it was because the people that introduced it to her, she felt like they were her family.
Wow.
And her own family, she felt like they were strangers because of the way she was being treated. It was like coming to a jail. Where were you? Why were you out like this? Why, it's 5 p.m., why are you not home before the sun even goes down, right? You have to wear this, you have to eat this, you have to sleep like this, you have all of those things. And people might think it's an exaggeration, but it's not. I'm being extremely literal. This is what was happening in the home.
This is an experience for a lot of people.
This is an experience for, and it is not an anomaly.
Yeah.
I've had multiple people come to me, on both sides, come to me. But I will be honest, unfortunately in our Muslim community, we're a lot stricter on our women than we are on our men. And when I say, I'm talking about young boys and young girls, we will let the boys be more free, do whatever they want. We don't ask them when they come home. We can smell all manner of things on them and we won't say anything. Yeah. But our girls, no. They cannot even leave the house. They cannot talk on the phone past a certain time, so on and so forth. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with protecting. I'm saying be protective across the board, right?
Because
don't
everyone's
pick
at
and
risk,
choose.
right?
Everyone is at risk.
Everyone's at risk.
Everyone is at risk. Let's be honest. You're worried about your daughter getting pregnant. What about your son impregnating someone?
Yeah.
That's not a worry for you?
Yeah.
It makes zero sense, right? So it makes a lot of sense that our young girls are so fed up and they're going out seeking family elsewhere.
Wow.
And this is something that we need to address, because we're doing this not because we're bad parents or so on and so forth. No, because we want to protect. Yeah. We're just going about it the wrong way. And we need to be open to dialogue to say, hey, you're doing this and it's driving your daughter or son away from you.
Yeah.
Not to be too prideful or too arrogant or thinking it's too taboo to talk about these things.
Yeah.
So that's the experience I had pre-social media. Post-social media, it's too many. I mean, you can imagine that times 100 or times 20,000, right? Because of the fact now I have people following me from Indonesia, from Nigeria, from Zanzibar, from places that I didn't even know existed. So with that, you have people's experiences right there in your living room, and they can express them to you. So I had such an experience where another individual, and again, it's been plenty, but the one that came to mind when you asked that question, just because it was so shocking, which also speaks to our situation. It shouldn't be shocking. We should know more about it. We should know that these things are happening in order to be able to fix them. But I had an individual come to me and said, from the first night that she got married, there's been domestic abuse. From the first night.
Wow.
And she stayed for over a decade, had kids, and still it's the same. And she was seeking advice. She attended a class that I did past Ramadan, a 30-day course that I did with a good friend of mine, talking about these things. And when we came to the chapter of forgiveness, that's when she decided to message me on Instagram and tell me about her experience. Mom, like, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. And she was so open about it. It's almost like she was waiting for someone that she could trust to talk to. And she's been holding it in for so long. I kept reading, kept scrolling, and it just kept going. And I said, sister, we need to take this off Instagram. This is my number. If you feel comfortable, you can reach out to me, because this is beyond just texting about it on Instagram. Something needs to be done. But unfortunately, she wasn't even in the United States of America. So I felt limited in what I could do to help. So I tried to give some advice, but I told her, please get actual professional help with this. It's very important. Don't think that someone who's religious or on the deen can fix all of these problems. Some of these problems need outside of the deen help as well. Domestic abuse is something that you should not take lightly. Right? But we also know for the people that are affected by it, leaving is even scarier. They're made to feel like this person is the only one in the world that will take care of me. And that is the nature of this abuse. It's psychological. They make them think that, no one else will love you. No one else will take care of you. I'm the only one that you have.
And when you open yourself up to this world of these people that now share their problems with you, and like, as you mentioned, how important is it to let them know that, I'm not the source of all solution. And you mentioned this earlier about how you can feel like you're the center of attention and all of these types of things. But really, when you do open yourself up and people come to you, how do you manage that interaction?
Well, you have to be honest from the beginning. I think when you're genuine in what you're trying to do, again, the reason why I joined was very specific. And I've tried to remind myself of that every single day. So when I get these messages, I'm very upfront. And sometimes they're so shocked. Oh, wow, you messaged me back. And I always answer with, of course I messaged you back. Are we not both human beings? Why wouldn't I message you back? I don't have millions of followers where I cannot control my DMs. I have a few. The only way I'll pretend like I can't message you back is if it's gotten to me and I've started to feel myself. I was like, oh no, I'm too busy to message you back, right? And again, if I'm honest with myself, right, that will come in my mind. So no, I'm not too busy to message you back. I'll message you back. When I first started getting a lot of followers, it was hundreds of DMs. My wife and I sat there and went through all of them.
Wow.
Because it was important to me that people know that I'm your brother in Islam. That's it. I'm here. If I can assist you in any way, that's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to get famous. I'm not here to be known across the world as, oh, Hassan Faye, the fame. I don't want any of that. I run away from that because of what it can do to the heart, right? But I know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me with as well, and I have to use it for khair, for good. So I tell them that up front. I'm very honest. listen, I'm not a sheikh, I'm not a scholar, I'm not a mufti, alim, any of that. I'm just a brother who cares, who happens to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, happens to love the deen and happens to love Quran, and loves to dress well. That's all I am. So all of those things put together is who you're talking to right now.
Yeah.
If I can help, I'll do my best. If not, I'll point you to scholars that I know personally. I've sent a lot of people to Imam Suhaib Webb.
Yeah.
I've sent a lot of people. I can't help you with that, but I know someone who can. I'll text Imam Suhaib and I'll say, I have someone that please help him out, help her out. Send him my way. He never says no, right? You have these people.
Absolutely.
They want to help. But of course, they also have a lot more followers than I do, so they can't always see their DMs. So I'm able to kind of be a filter and go through.
Excellent. And I do want to say that your Jummah Drip campaign, right? Your Jummah Drip campaign did inspire me one time.
One time
and
you
I
did
tagged
post.
You. Yeah. And thank you for reposting and allowing my ego to have a little bit of time. But like as you said, we got to tame that and make sure it doesn't get out of control.
Absolutely.
So in closing, right, we've talked about a lot of things. We've gone pretty deep. What is one thing, just one thing that you can tell our audience about how they can stay true to themselves when they put themselves out there on social media?
Yes. I love this question because first it allows me to think and think about my experience and what helps me, because I can only go off of my own experience, not anyone else's. And to be completely honest, the way that I keep myself in line and true to who I am as a Muslim, first and foremost, before anything else, is realizing and knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, and we know it to be true, that all of this, everything that we see, this entire world, it's just fluff. It's here one day, and then the next day, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's it. And all we have in this world is a very short period of time. A very short, limited period of time. What you do with it will ultimately get you to one place or the other in the next world. And we're trying to go to the good place. All of us are trying to go to the good place. So it is extremely important having that mindset and realizing, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in the Quran? كَمْ لَبِثْتُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ عَدَدَ السِّنِينَ. How long did you spend on this earth? قَالُوا لَبِثْنَا يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْضَ يَوْمٍ. The people will say, a day or part of a day.
80 years, 60 years will feel like.
A day or part of a day.
Wow.
Right? And the people that answer that, they're like, I don't know. Go ask the people that actually know this stuff. إِن لَبِثْتُمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. You only spent a small amount of time in that world. Now let's say we break it down to a day, 24 hours. How much of that day did you spend doing things that did not matter at all? That you cannot take with you to your grave, you cannot present to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, and it will not help you get to the good place. If I think about those things, I say, so all of this stuff doesn't matter. Fame, trying to be famous, doesn't matter. Trying to amass all this wealth, at the end of the day, if it's not being used for good, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He's the only one that's never going to die, that's always going to be there and has always been there. And He's my creator. And I have to go back to Him. وَإِلَيْهِ النُّشُورُ. I have to go back to Him. So if I think about that every single day, it guides me. It guides me to what is right. And that is all over the Quran, right? And this is why I love the Quran so much. And this is why the Quran is such an integral part. It's the pillar. In my life, it's Quran and then everything else. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and I'll end with this, إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ. Right? That certainly this Quran right here, it guides to that which is most straight. Not it's straight, but it has the most straight way. Like the direct first class flight to me, direct flight to me. This is the Quran that does it. right? So all the examples I've used to help keep me straight, I've quoted Quran to you,
Yeah.
right? I've quoted Quran to you. So that's what I would leave everyone with. Think about the fact that everything that we have in this world is all a plaything, and it's all temporary. And it will go, and we will go and leave it here, and then the next person will come. We don't own Instagram. We don't own Twitter. We don't own these things. All we can hope for is to leave our mark in a good way on these things and then move on. And hope that the people that we leave will make dua for us. And hold the Quran. Read the Quran, even if it's a page a day, an ayah a day. Interact with that ayah. And if you do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide you to that which is most straight.
Wow. We really appreciate that advice. Hassan, Faye, thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you for
I ask
having me.
Allah to bless you in all your endeavors and everything that you do.
Ameen.
And we will come back with my closing thoughts. Here's a sneak peek of next week's
What I
episode.
would say is always do the thing that makes you happy. Always do the thing that fulfills your passion when you earn the right to fund that.
Our guest today delved deep into what it is like to put yourself out there on social media. He talked about his own experience, and I hope it helps you navigate yours. At Seekers Institute, we show you a path to transformation from the inside out. Being in control of how you use your time and what you give your energy to is crucial. It is often said that technology is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. The reality is we have many areas in our lives where we give up control, whether it's technology, temptation, money, or relationships. We are in a constant battle for control. Our faith encourages us to engage our potential and to cut out the noise. Take advantage of 5 before 5, as the Prophet said. Your youth before your old age, your health before you become ill, your wealth before you lose it, your free time before you become too busy, and your entire life before your death. So, now that you know, Seekers Institute can show you how.